You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
Get out the rye bread and the mustard this time, Grandma! It is a grand salami! Oh, the band is out on the field! He's going to go into the end zone! Puts it up. Yes! There goes Davis! Oh, my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back! Auburn's going to win the football game! American Pharoah is finally the one! American Pharoah has won the Triple Crown! And Barnes hits way high! It's a deep! It is out of here! High fly ball into right field. She is gone! Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson! And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw!
Here are your hosts, Jamie Bradford and Darren Goldwater.
All right, greetings and a good Friday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online. A shade afternoon, and it is a sunny afternoon here in the low country of South Carolina. Darren Goldwater, Jamie Bradford, we're here until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And between now and then, we have a pretty good show planned for you. Rafael Esparza is set to join us from Las Vegas in about 30 minutes. Frankie Mansfield, he'll join us with the Moultrie News and update us on the ruling yesterday by the South Carolina High School League to get kids back into athletics across the state of South Carolina. We've got some baseball stuff to get to. We've got some football stuff to get to. We've got a National Days calendar to get to, and a whole lot more. You can find us live on the Podbean app, and if that's where you're listening, thank you so much for that, by just typing in JB and Goldwater. Also on Facebook and on YouTube, you can watch our channel, JB and Goldwater, and we're live there until 2 o'clock, and I think we're also live on Twitter, right?
We are live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We got a brand new little overlay that you can see if you are actually watching this, because as much as you don't want your face on screen, I also didn't want it covered up by a logo. That looked kind of silly.
Oh.
So we fixed that problem, and big news.
Okay.
The Twitter handle is now JB and Goldwater instead of underscore.
All right.
So everything we have, everything, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of the places where you can listen live or listen on the podcast, everything to search for is always JB and Goldwater.
JB and Goldwater. There you go. We are
Big news.
We are in your living room now. We certainly appreciate you having us in there every day from 12 o'clock until 2 o'clock. All right, Darren. Can't wait to talk to Rafael today. Rafael will look back to last weekend, the match. I bet he's got some really interesting notes from the Vegas side of things, the betting side of things, if you'd like to call it that. And we'll kind of ramble around with him about a few other things. Those guys, it's amazing how busy they continue to stay in Vegas even when there's no live sports to watch.
It really is.
Isn't it crazy?
However, Rafael has been pretty consistent in saying that the hardest hit place in the country is going to be Las Vegas. Darren Ravel put out a tweet today about what we're finishing up May. So the money that Las Vegas casinos brought in May of 2019 versus May of 2020, it's like $220 million to $3 million. I mean, yeah, right? I mean, it's the Las Vegas has taken a shot, and it's not great. I mean, they've got a ways to go here to kind of bounce themselves back up from wherever they happen to be. I mean, they've taken a huge hit right now.
I want to throw this out here. I was out at Stono Ferry this morning talking with Scott Glaze and Greg Wood and those guys, and I didn't even realize the time of year that it was. And Scott tweeted this an hour ago, and I'm so glad I retweeted it. It was this time last year that we were at the Country Club of Charleston for the entire week for the U.S. Women's Open.
That's a year ago?
It was a year ago. And Scott tweeted this morning this picture of him and myself and Meredith Taylor, who was part of our coverage, former Gamecock women's golfer, and one of the greatest golfers in the history of women's golf, Julie Inkster, who had come and joined us live on the set one afternoon and was so kind. It just kind of reminded me, because we're going to talk about the match here in a minute, and I was at a golf course this morning, and I saw this picture that Scott put up, and I said, man, that was a great, great week. She couldn't have been kinder, Darren. Annika Sorenstam was on our program, couldn't have been kinder. I mean, so cool, so cool. I just can't wait now until next year's PGA Championship at Kiowa. So I think we're going to be a part of it, and we're excited about that.
We should be, and I can't wait. I mean, that place it's iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, so to be out there, and maybe a year from now, things will be a little bit closer to normal, or whatever, whatever that is. So, it'll feel like a brand new world by the time the PGA is around.
Well, I was even thinking about this too. I was talking to Greg about it at Stono this morning. Just everything that this country has been through, the world has been through over the last couple of months, but everything that we take so for granted in America, and one of those things obviously is the landscape of athletics, whether it's collegiate athletics or professional athletics, and once you've got to just have this feeling that whenever this is, I don't know if it'll be here in 2020, which we all hope it certainly is, but at some point in time in the future, when things begin to iron themselves back out safely, ballparks are going to be packed. I mean, you talk about this, the drop of attendance, and how do we get people out of their living rooms and back into stadiums and things like that? I'll tell you how. Let a pandemic hit to where they don't get to leave their house for God knows how long, and there's going to be so many people saying, and I hope they're saying this, man, we took it for granted for so long. I went to all those games for all those years. I gave up my season tickets, but I want them back, because God help us if this ever happens again. We didn't realize how spoiled we all were to be able to see and do the things we've done in our lives. I mean, Darren, I've been going to South Carolina football games for over 30 years, and I'm almost 35. Okay, so my whole life basically. And, depending on the schedule, either 6 or 7 home games every year. And if you think about that, how many times these eyes, and I'm on a much smaller scale than a lot of people that I know who've been doing this for 40 years and 50 years and 60 years and not missing games. Like my uncle, who's been in the Gamecock Club for over 50 years, never missed a game. Used to go to all the away games when he had his motorhome. And you just think about how we take it so for granted, and there's some people who never get to do that. And they go one time. It's like the movie Rudy.
Yep.
When his parents went to watch him play one time, like, this is the greatest thing these guys have ever seen. And now you implement that same mentality to people that have done it so many times, but it's been taken away, and you're like, I can't wait to get back. Like, if it snows, if it lightnings, I'm still going.
It's the same idea when restaurants and bars started opening back up again.
Yeah.
It was JC was on with us
spoiled,
a couple
man.
days ago. He was like, I can't wait to go to our local establishment and sit down and just feel like it used to feel. Just have a couple drinks. I mean, and I was over at Dog and Duck yesterday or 2 days ago and talking with some of the owners over there, and they're doing pretty well, because the influx, not just of people who want to come be there, because socially distant is very, very much a reality inside of Dog and Duck and outside. Mm-hmm. But they're still doing the to-goes, and they're still doing the curbside pickup, if that's what you want to do. And you combine everything together, and it's a sign that the economy, at least locally, is starting to inch a little bit forward.
No doubt about it. So is football. Pete Thamel last night tweeted this from sources. The NCAA's Football Oversight Committee, the FOC, met yesterday, and they're heading toward recommending a 6-week preseason football camp model for the 2020 season. In the next week, they're going to determine in the granular what that could look like before formally recommending this model. The FOC will make that recommendation to the D1 Council for final approval, and mid-June is the target date for that step. So that's really good news. That is really, 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 really good news, and hopefully over the next couple of weeks, again, in just a few days, athletes are going to be entering campus again on June the 1st. And I look at this. I'm a half full, not half empty guy. Always have been, always will be. It's very difficult for you to look at me and say, yeah, but, and I go, no, I'm not buying it with anything in life. And I look at this and say, this is wonderful. This is, if you're those athletes, can you imagine how great they're going to feel walking on campus? We're back, and we're going to make this work.
Just college students in general. I mean, imagine your love for the campus, for being at the University of South Carolina.
Or anywhere. It doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah. Or
anybody. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. You're referencing me, but and talking to me, but everybody.
I feel that way about Penn State. Anyone who went to a school and is passionate just about how much they loved the experience of being in college. To step foot on that campus again is just going to feel like you
the
walked
first
into
time.
heaven. Like
Absolutely. I mean, Darren, it's every single year when I get to Columbia for the first game, and I hope that anybody that's listening to this can relate in what I'm saying. I'm referencing myself, but I'm referencing all of us here. When you drive down Bluff Road and you see Williams-Brice Stadium, it's something magical. It's like, all is right in the world. Now, that's generally about, the last 5 years I've been hosting a pregame show, so that's usually about 6.5, 7 hours before kickoff.
Yeah.
So I always, temper my emotion a little bit and go, but in about 10 hours, I might not feel this way. I might be back on I'm never coming back here again, which will never happen. But just that feeling as a fan, and if you can imagine how these players will feel knowing the last 60 days it's been, you go back to the comment that Kirk Herbstreit made, which I think was the misstep of his career when he said what he said in March of, I don't see any way possible to play football this fall. Like, whoa, Kirk, you are one of the most trusted voices in this sport. Hold on. Whoa. We have a long ways to go. Back the truck up, put the sand back on the beach, and relax. You know what I mean? But these players hear that stuff, and they listen to it. And these coaches have had an incredibly difficult job, right, of making sure that their communication with their players is, number one, consistent, but number two, honest.
Right.
And or maybe this probably coincided with it 1A and 1B. And, here's what I'm hearing, man. I don't know what this means, but this is what we're hearing. This sounds good. So this is what we're hearing. This wave of emotions that everybody's been going through, and you think about the players, and they're going to be back. I got a gut feeling, Darren, and I know that for the large part, the majority of college kids are incredibly irresponsible with their decisions, and I was one of them. You were too.
No, I was not.
Okay, but if this message is portrayed correctly to these kids of, look, this is how it is, and if you want to play this year, this is exactly what you have to do. The threat is already there. You're already wading in the deep end here. You're swimming without a lifeguard, like I've said. You're taking a major risk here. But if you follow these steps, you do these things, we're going to play football, okay? We're going to play football. Let this process keep working itself out. There are so many smart people that are involved in this, so many of them, and they should be commended. So yeah, when we cut the mic on next week, you're gonna have players on campus on Monday.
and it's going to feel like, it's interesting. I don't know if it's going to be a celebration of, hey, we're back, but at least every day that passes by and we don't get to the point of saying, well, unless something happens, we have to pull back, then that's a good day. Every day forward that we haven't hit the brakes is a good day. So let's just enjoy it while it's lasting.
No doubt. There's no doubt about that. And if they do take a step back with the anticipation that the next step or the next movement forward will be 2 steps. Sometimes that's what it takes. 1 back and 2 forward, but really can't wait to start to see these kids and to see how the self plays out. Like, I'm not looking at this that I saw yesterday. We've seen it. Who was this? Somebody. Armin Katayan was on the Feinbaum show, and he was, I don't understand. If we can't have students on campus, how are we going to put football players on campus? And yada, 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 yada. Some of these national media members might have been doing this for a long time, but it doesn't mean what they're saying is right.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I respect all these people in their work. Don't get me wrong. This is the job that sports journalists in general have is not easy, especially in today's times. It's incredibly difficult, and but that doesn't mean that their opinion is correct. I stand once again right next to the same stance I had over the last couple of weeks, Darren. We've talked about this multiple times. I would venture a guess it would actually be much safer to bring college football students back to campus where you can control what's going on. And if something does go on, you can help them.
Right.
You can. All those millions and billions of dollars that you've got invested in your programs, you've got it. You're right there. You have a fever? Come here. We got a room for you to sit in. We can handle this. You have a fever at home? Some of these guys don't even have a ride to get to a doctor. So you can manage that much, much better. And then, the whole thing of whether you're a student athlete on campus or not doesn't matter because everybody's been doing online classing anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. But at least we're getting closer. I mean, at least we can hit the weekend here and say, hey, on Monday, kids are going to be back, at least some of them on campus.
Yeah.
And it'll be a big step because let's see how the schools, the universities, the leagues, how they handle it, how it progresses.
That's right.
How smoothly the process goes. That's my optimistic assumption. Yes. That it is going to go pretty smoothly.
I think
with
it
the
will.
Slow rollout.
I absolutely think it will. And Darren, what's probably going to happen, and this will be a coast to coast. It could happen anywhere. You are going to get reports of player A at the University of Nevada has tested positive for the coronavirus. Player B at Missouri has tested positive for the coronavirus. He is in 14-day quarantine. You're going to see this stuff. But I would caution all of you to not let that freak you out because you are literally just welcoming students back to school. You're trying to figure out what you've got here. It's like opening a bag of M&Ms. How many yellows do we have? How many reds do we have? How many blues do we have?
I like that.
How many browns do we have? Like, what do we have in this bag here? All right, we got to figure this out. Who's here? Where have you been? What's going on with you? Are you healthy? Are you not healthy? If you are even on the cusp of not being healthy, we need to figure out what to do about that. So these reports, and they have to report it. And when you have to, and all of these reports have to go to a state agency.
Yep.
So this will be public information. You will hear about it. This is not an, and I love Will Muschamp, but this is not a Will Muschamp injury report. Well, yeah, he should be good to go on Saturday. And then you find out he's got his head's falling off his shoulders. Coach, I don't know why he said he should be good to go. He doesn't have a head. He can't play. This is not that.
Sometimes you wonder if they have heads while they are playing.
That's true. That's in every sport.
Yes.
So you're going to know, and you're going to see this, and I got a feeling you're going to see a few of them. You're going to see quite a few of them. But I don't think that means that this was a bad decision. I think that means that this is where we will be. This is what we're learning from. We're receiving more information, and we will learn from this and adjust to this.
It's inevitable. Multiple people will test positive at times. That's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
So the reality of how medical professionals have guided, we're just speaking colleges here, have guided these schools back to reopening and back to allowing athletes on campus It is under their guidance, and their assumption is that it's a safe bet that it's a when, not if, somebody tests positive.
Mm-hmm.
So there are protocols in place. And when I say I think things are going to go smoothly, I'm not sitting here saying I think everyone's going to remain perfectly healthy. I don't think that.
Right.
But I do think that the policies that are in place, again, optimistically speaking, I think the policies that are in place are ready to handle an event happening.
Yeah.
And if they're not totally ready to handle it, they're situated so that they can adjust and make the necessary tweaks so that it can be handled the right way.
Well, this is essentially preseason practice for pandemic, for the pandemic as well, Darren. I mean, like what you're going to learn in June and what you're going to learn in July is certainly going to help you figure out how to deal with it in August, September, and beyond. Like if this happens in June, you go, okay, this is how we're dealing with it. And then you look back at that and you go, okay, that was good, but we need to do this. Or that didn't work. We need to do this now.
Right.
So all of these, even with all these protocols in place, and you have, I mean, they have these institutions have protocols in place. You have state regulations, CDC guidelines, conference regulations, NCAA. I mean, there is a host of rules that you have to abide by day in and day out, and the majority of them all coincide with each other, and they're pretty much the same thing. Some might be a little bit different here and there, but you're going to use this information and apply this information to what is coming onto your campus over the next couple of weeks, and then you'll use that information to deal with what's on your campus over the next couple of weeks after that, and then you'll be able to look back at all of this, and you'll have somewhat of a real, like your own inner guideline to move forward with. And once you get to football season, I truly think, Darren, that for the most part, dealing with all this on an athlete level, the problem is not solved because it's still there, but you definitely have this under control and managed and know exactly what you're doing. Then it's, okay, how do we get the fans in?
Right.
How do we do this? And by then, who knows what we've learned? And who knows what people have decided to do. So that's exciting. It's exciting. It's our last weekend, hopefully, of 2020 without college athletes on campus.
Right. So everyone who covers the sports, us included, instead of what if, how, we'll finally start to get some answers. Yeah. Instead of all these questions and all these theories and all these ideas, all right, now it's time to implement them. That's right. Now it's time to go. And let's change the narrative. Let's change what we're talking about, because now we can start diving into things like who's going to win the SEC? Who's going to win can anybody challenge Clemson? Is the Pac-12 going to produce a contender that can make a push into the college football playoff? We can start to talk sports. And that's what we're here for.
That's right.
That's what we're all here for.
That's exactly what we're here for. We're going to get into some baseball in just a little while. Do have some news that we just received, I don't know, maybe an hour ago. ESPN is going to nationally televise the entire 2020 Major League Baseball draft.
All 5 rounds.
Oh, yeah, all 5 rounds. They will show round 1 on June the 10th, and then on June the 11th, they'll show rounds 2 through 5. And that will also be in addition to the fact that every year it's on the MLB Network. So you're going to get to watch this. I talked with one of my great buddies, Drew Meyer, former All-American at South Carolina, first-round draft pick in 2002 of the Texas Rangers, and now current insurance owner, Meyer Insurance Group owner here in Charleston. We were going to have him on today, but he was all set to tee off right when we were going on the air. So he's going to come on next week, and I have a few things to talk to Drew about. One will be the college side. If they move the college schedule, we'll use Drew as a great example of this, because Drew was a first-round draft pick. So how would he have handled that, knowing, dude, you're in the first round? Do you keep playing? So we'll talk about that side of it and a couple of other discussions that has to do with that. Minor league baseball is going through a real challenge right now. We're going to get that in a little while, and I can't wait to get his his thoughts on this because he spent a lot of time in minor league baseball traveling around on buses that didn't quite make it there sometimes, and baseball, what the negotiation process are going through, and what a 5-round draft is going to do for the future of this sport.
That's the question. Like, what will it do for the future of the sport, and how does it change the process really moving forward?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Darren, you know this sport inside and out. If anybody watching or listening to this program at any point in time thinks in somehow in their mind that, well, all the best players are drafted in the first five rounds, my God, you have a lot to learn. The overwhelming majority of Major League Baseball players are from outside the top 5 rounds.
Yeah, probably outside the top 10.
It's not even. I mean, of course, there's thousands of players who've been in the big leagues that have gone in the top 5 rounds. We've seen thousands of them who've been amazing players, but we've seen thousands more who've been outside of the top 5.
That's right.
Who have shaped this sport. Now you're not going to see that.
No. And
at least in the next couple of years.
And one area that will benefit, the college game will benefit, right? We had
no doubt.
Skylar Meade was on with us.
Carolina just benefited a couple days ago.
Yes, they did.
I mean,
a kid who
huge
probably would have
prospect.
signed.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
But now heading to school, and the trend was that way anyway. The trend has been leaning star players outside top, 2 through 5 rounds. Those guys, the trend has been, let's go to college, enjoy the college life in stadiums and in front of fans, and the travel luxuries that all are better than what you'll see in the minor leagues.
Oh, no doubt.
And get the instruction and then go pro.
Mm-hmm.
And now with this 5-round draft, that trend will continue to grow. So Skylar Meade, who was with us, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, said he thinks that college baseball, will be in its best shape of his memory for the next really 4 or 5 years because of this. And then if the draft is shortened down the road, and it looks like it will be, it looks like it'll cut down to 20 rounds once we advance out of this pandemic, you can expect it to continue. You really can.
Yeah, I mean, baseball for years has wanted to, we need to grow. We need to grow. We need to grow. Well, we need to look at this. We need to look at this because baseball wants to play games in Japan, and they want to play games in England, and they want to play games in Mexico, and they want to have the World Baseball Classic, and that's all fine and dandy.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. That's great. Congratulations. But if you don't grow it here first, none of that crap means anything.
Yep.
Because the rest of those countries aren't going to give a damn about baseball if America doesn't. So you better lead by example in your own country. And you better take care of the sport, which means you need to take care of the kids in the minor leagues and not give them $400 a month. It's a joke.
Did you see what David Price is doing?
Yeah. Paying $1,000 during the month of June to each minor league player in the Dodgers system, and those players are not on the 40-man roster.
Right. So there was a generalization saying that's probably about 300 players that David Price is giving $1,000 a month to.
Yep.
That's big time right there.
He's coughing up $300,000 to help these people. I mean, they think look, a lot of those guys, they do get great signing bonuses.
Sure.
A lot of them do. But a lot of them don't. And there's nothing glorious about being a minor league baseball player. It is a grind like you couldn't imagine.
I mean, I worked in minor league baseball. The reason I moved to Charleston was a job with the Charleston River Dogs because baseball's my first love, and I wanted to cut my teeth in baseball and stay in baseball. And the minor league grind for someone not playing in the minor leagues was not something that appealed to me, and it's not something that appealed to me within like 2-3 weeks. Because the reason the River Dogs, the reason the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, the reason franchises are so successful in the minor leagues is because they work their asses off.
Mm-hmm.
It is, when you're in season specifically, you're talking 16, 17, 18-hour days, home and road for a lot of the staff.
Yep.
And it's a grind, man. And if you're not traveling, it's still tough, especially if you're on the media side of things. If you are traveling, unless you're up into the higher ranks and the better funded leagues, you're traveling by bus wherever you're going. And you're not traveling in sleeper buses like you are in college. Like if South Carolina takes a bus trip, they're traveling in a luxurious sleeper bus with like a lounge up front and an area in the back where everyone's got a bed.
Yeah, if they're not flying.
Yeah, if they're not flying. If you're in the minors, A, you're not flying unless you're high up there. B, your buses are not comfortable. You're on like a Greyhound bus for 8, 10 hours, however long you're going to be on it.
Right.
College game, that's one of the main reasons it's benefiting from it.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if maybe Major League Baseball wants to rely more on the college game to essentially be a farm system for the sport instead of their own farm system. Maybe. I don't know the answer to that, but
right, maybe.
What it looks like.
Yeah, I mean they're cutting minor league teams.
I mean, you have guys you have guys, Darren, and I'm not going to say Power 5 because baseball, there's great prospects all over the country. You have guys now who are so prepared when they come out of college baseball. They're spending a year in the minor leagues at most, and they're there. Back in the day, it was 4 or 5 years, and then you're up.
Yeah, how long do you think it's going to take when Kumar Rocker, right, the Vanderbilt?
No time. I mean,
he's going to.
It could be a few months.
Yes.
And Rocker's up.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, just if you don't know who Rocker is, Google Rocker Vanderbilt pitcher.
You know who his dad is?
No.
He's the defensive line coach at South Carolina.
Is that right?
Tracy Rocker.
How'd he go to Vanderbilt then?
Well, Tracy just left Tennessee.
Right, because he replaced Scott, who went up to Penn State.
Right, yeah. Okay. Tracy Rocker's been all around everywhere, but Kumar was he threw 98, and Vanderbilt recruits in their sleep guys that throw 98. So he's like, all right, I'll go to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he throws 98 with, again, Google him and watch like the overlays of slider, fastball.
It's ridiculous.
It's like
if he's on, he's unhittable.
It's fun to watch.
It's unbelievable.
And I'm happy I don't have to stand in the box against him.
We hope we're fun to watch. We know that Rafael Esparza is fun to listen to. He's set to join us from Las Vegas next when we return here on the JB and Goldwater Show.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
We've been telling you guys about Stokes Volkswagen and the best car offer of all time, but you only have a couple more days to actually cash in on that offer. Here's Ryan Nelson with more.
That's correct. It is an unprecedented offer that Volkswagen has decided it will be good only until June 1st. So we need you to get into Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate. It's 120 days until your first payment, 0% APR for 72 months for new 2019 and 2020 Volkswagens. Check them out online, stokesvw.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris Liquor Stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
One of these drinks is gonna cloud my memory.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Sisko, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
The JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
I'm gonna keep on the run, I'm gonna have me some fun. If it costs me my very last dime, if I wind up broke, well, I'll always remember that I had a swing in time. I'm gonna give it everything I've got. Lady luck, please let the dice stay hot. Let me shoot some with every shot. Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva, viva Las Vegas!
Yeah, that's right. 12:35 on a Wednesday, Friday afternoon. Oh, good
Come
Lord,
on.
don't go backwards. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on Twitter, live on the Podbean app, live on whatever, everything.
We're in the sky, man.
Just Google JB and Goldwater. You'll find us. Google Rafael Esparza. You'll find him, but you got to go get him in Vegas where it's really, really hot. It's actually kind of hot here,
Dude,
too.
it's really hot here.
It's humid.
Yes.
It's humid here. Hey, Rafael.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Oh, just another day in the life. Waiting on you to join us this afternoon. What's up, man?
Nothing. I saw you guys a little bit live this morning, and you had the two football. What are the two football helmets? I'm shocked that the SEC hasn't given you SEC helmets to put on there since you guys are SEC homers.
Don't.
Yeah,
Well, he's not.
We're working on that. So the one closest to me is the Penn State helmet, and then the other one is the Citadel, so that's a local helmet. But we'll
That's the Citadel. I love watching the Citadel play college hoops.
Really?
Really? Why? Because they fly up and down the court?
No, I think that was probably one of the first smallest schools. Back in eighth or freshman year that I started watching and then played college basketball because I loved watching college basketball when I was a kid when I couldn't play basketball anymore. And that was probably the first small school besides Big Ten that I would watch.
Well, how old are you? So when was this? When were you watching them?
Let's see. I'm 46, so I would say it was probably probably late 90s.
Okay. Trying to think if that was when Ed Conroy was playing, because there was a year when Coach Les Robinson was the coach. They won 19 or 20 games, and Ed was a part of the team and then was a coach later and led the team. That was later, though. That wasn't the time frame you're talking about, but that's when I was the radio guy there. But they're traditionally not the greatest basketball team. It's tough to recruit to a military school.
But they do haul ass up and down the floor.
They do that.
They fire about 100 shots a game. So
that's probably why I liked it, because they almost ran the formats of the old LMU, Bo Kimbo, Hank Gathers type of all, where they were just going to outrun you, and they could care less about defense.
That's right. Kind of like the NBA.
Oh, you said that, not me.
That's right. Oh, I know. I said it. All right, let's go back last weekend. How'd Vegas do with the match?
We won on some prop bets. We lost on some prop bets. Late money came in big on Brady and Phil Mickelson. I do believe because people found out that Brady played 18 holes in the rain before the event started, so people thought he was going to be a lot looser. But, boy, his first 8 holes looked like I could have done better than him, even though I've never golfed 18 holes in my life. I think I could have probably shot a little bit better than Brady did. But I think that's why the money came in late, so that helped us out, because throughout the whole week, of course, everyone was betting Tiger Woods just because it was Tiger Woods and everyone thought he was going to get his revenge. So we won on some prop bets, lost on some prop bets, but overall it didn't matter if we won or lost, because it was just to see so much action come in through the window. It felt like a nice Sunday back in the old days.
Typically when you have prop bets, and whether it's the match or the Super Bowl or whatever it might be, is that a big moneymaker for Vegas, or is the bigger money on actual, betting up against the lines?
Well, betting up against the lines is always the biggest risk, because we took 6 figures on both Tiger Woods and Phil on a prop, but we're not taking 6-figure bets on prop bets. Gee, some of them will be maybe $1,000 max. Some of them will be a little bit more depending on the type of prop bet it is. So we'll take a lot more money on major events like the golf matchups or football games than we would do on a prop bet.
Did you enjoy watching the match?
If it wasn't for Peyton Manning and Charles Barkley, I thought it might have been a thud just because. But them two made it so entertaining. And I've been telling people I'm a little bit shocked on why Tiger Woods was so silent. But at the same time, I hung out with them at MGM and Aria all the time. And Charles Barkley has so much dirt on Tiger Woods. I understand why Tiger Woods didn't want to poke the bear, because I think Charles Barkley would have lashed on him throughout the whole 18 rounds. So I totally understand why Tiger Woods was a little bit quiet, because when you have Charles Barkley on a live microphone and he has that much dirt on him, you just want to just stay quiet and play golf.
And Barkley doesn't care. He'll say whatever is on his mind.
That's why Barkley is.
And Tiger Woods knows that.
Yes. I want to take a left turn just briefly, because last week Jamie wasn't here with us, but just before we brought you on, Everett German was sitting in for Jamie, and he and I were talking about cornhole, because a good friend of ours, and he lives in town, is a guy named Jeff McCarriger, who is right now the only play-by-play announcer currently working, because cornhole is actually going live, and they have been now for the last couple of weeks, and he's our buddy, and he's play-by-play. Do you take odds on cornhole?
I was watching it. This is way before the pandemic, and I was watching it live on ESPN. And I put a tweet out saying, "Hey, maybe I need to start handicapping and put odds on cornhole." And I think the president of USA Cornhole tweeted me back, said, "Hey, we'll love to work with you, so we can maybe do some odds on all that." So I think that could be down the road. I just need more information and more on the live events and the pro leagues and stuff like that. I would love to be the first odds maker to do odds on cornhole. So if you can give me that number or someone I can call to, I would love to be the first guy to do it, because I think it'd be kind of fun and catchy. And of course, people will make fun of me on social media, but I think that's why I do a lot of the stuff I do.
All right, book it. I'll get you Jeff's information. I'll send it to you in a direct message through Twitter once the show's over.
Well,
because I'm down with that. So I would love to be the odds maker to cornhole on ESPN with a microphone saying, "This match right here is minus 150 from this guy. The dog is plus 120. Will 4 bags go into the hole, over, under, yes or no?" That'd be fantastic.
Yes, it would.
Like, cornhole has obviously turned into like the ultimate tailgate game. Everybody plays cornhole now. If you tailgate football, basketball, baseball, whatever you do, but I think that during this pandemic, I think cornhole has found a new platform. Like, I think there's people who have tuned in to watch this. I mean, you got to figure, Raphael, there's probably a lot of non-athletes out there who are sitting there crushing a Coors Light somewhere going, "Hell, I can do that." You know?
Dude, they're in Crocs. They're in Crocs wearing face masks and just flipping bags.
That's me all day. I can do that.
I totally agree with you, because I did the same thing with spike ball. I was watching it on TV, sent a tweet out, and then my boss over at my bookie says, what sport you're going to do next if I had to put a head-to-head matchup, spike ball or cornhole?
No,
so,
cornhole.
Whoever contacts me first, that's who wins. So I would say if you have inside information on cornhole, they would be the betting favorite.
It's cornhole. And the thing that's interesting about cornhole is, so I had a set made for me, which is going to be shocking to the both of you, that it is a Carolina cornhole board, both of them. But
did Carolina go to the SEC?
Yeah, matter of fact, they did in 1991. But what's cool about cornhole is, well, obviously at the quote professional ranks, this is not the situation. But if I come to Darren's house and play cornhole, and Darren comes to my house and plays cornhole, you're gonna say, "Man, your board is a lot slicker than mine," or I'm gonna say, "Man, your board's got some bounce in it. You got to fix your board, man." I feel like every cornhole board is different. Even if you go, I'm not the guy that goes to Dick's Sporting Goods and buys a cornhole board. I want mine custom made. I want my stuff on it. That's what's cool about it. You make it the way you want it. And I feel like every single cornhole board is different. Isn't that true?
It is. I don't know about. I think the object is to get the bag in the hole. So I guess that's a big object. But everyone's basketball court is different. I mean, so
are you?
I don't want to put it that way, where you're scripting that my beanbag set is better than yours.
Are you a beanbag scruncher? Like, you scrunch it up in your hand and throw it? Or are you a helicopter guy?
Helicopter guy. My wife's really good. She beats me all the time when we used to play. So if I had to put, I would definitely have to put her on my team because she would probably give me some W's.
How do you do yours?
Well, you got to get the good feel for it. So I'm in the middle. I mean,
do you bounce it in your hand a few times before you throw it?
Yeah. Because you got, but then I'm more of the helicopter.
Really?
So I get the feel for it, and then with the nice little flick of the wrist, like a frisbee type.
I am not. I'm what's the movie? Is the movie Little Big League where his mom's like, give him the floater.
Okay.
Like I'm kind of underneath it, and I have this perfect feel in my wrist for when I'm releasing, and I know if I'm off.
Oh, I know right away if I'm gonna be in or close or not.
Yeah, I've got one bag. Our bags got wet. Raphael, we're just jabbing here. I'm sorry, but our bags got wet, and somehow one of them got a lot lighter. So whoever stuffed those bags, probably like ran out of corn or something. Like, put some flour in there. I mean, it's if you throw it in the wind, it catches the wind and almost flies off like a kite. And the rest of them just, flops. So whoever gets the black bags on my cornhole set, I don't ever tell them like, yeah, y'all are black. Hey, something's wrong with the bag.
Cheater.
That's right. That's right. Just like the 1981 Clemson football team.
Oh, man.
All right, Raphael, let's steer this ship back into the waters here. Back to golf. Do you want to see more of the match in the future?
Well, they signed for a 3-year contract with Tiger and Phil, so we will see it next year, and that's why I already posted odds for the match 3.
Oh, really?
I do believe I sent it to Jeremy, but we can go over the odds. Our team Tiger is -150, Team Phil's +120, and then for prep, who would be the partners of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson? Steph Curry's -240, Tony Romo's even money, MJ's +120. I would love to see Bill Murray and Larry David. They're both 5-1. Charles Barkley's 12-1. John Smoltz 15-1, and Drew Brees is 16-1. Patrick Mahomes is 5-1. He's already said that he would love to do it.
Ooh. Now let me throw. So we've been talking about this a lot this week. Potential partners for the next match. Yesterday was the first time I actually went online and tried to figure out celebrities who could play. Snoop Dogg can play. I mean, pretty darn well. So can Samuel L. Jackson and Mark Wahlberg. I mean, these are guys. These are guys who would be good.
I put Samuel L. Jackson at 20-1, and I would watch pay-per-view the match 3 with Samuel L. Jackson and put over under how many F-bombs he would say on a golf course, because that'd be fantastic to watch him live on an X-rated or R-rated
or X
golf match with Samuel L. Jackson.
So Samuel L. and Snoop pay-per-view.
Those would be your two?
With Tiger and Phil.
I don't think they need to do pay-per-view.
Well, if they want to make it completely unedited.
Oh, unedited, yeah.
Or at least a nice parental advisory.
Well, I mean, ESPN did the documentary.
Dance, yeah.
I mean, that was unedited. I mean, there's ways to do it, right, Raphael?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe that ESPN let them drop F-bombs with the documentary, but I would like to see Snoop Dogg on it because there would be so many prop bets. Will he smoke weed on hole 1? Will he so many. I would like to see Snoop Dogg and maybe Martha Stewart because they're best friends on a golf course.
Or would Snoop Dogg say something on national television that ended with Izzle?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that would be of course. I used to see him at Green Valley High School because his kid played football there, and he was so normal. It was scary just to see him all decked out in the school colors, watching his son play football, just being a normal dad than what you see on TV. It used to give me the creeps watching and him talking to people.
So here's a little nugget for you. There's a young man by the name of Keyshawn Nixon that will play for Vegas this year in the NFL, played for the Raiders. Keyshawn played at South Carolina. He came from junior college. I want to say San Jacinto, but I might be wrong, in California.
It's a good bet.
He played growing up in the Snoop Dogg football league out in California.
Okay.
And that's like Snoop's boy. Like when he committed to South Carolina, he like tweeted about it, like, "Oh man, it's gonna be a Gamecock. I'm pulling for the Gamecocks and all this stuff." And Keyshawn played really well for 2 years in Columbia. He was really good, but he's now with the Raiders. He might start this year on defense for the Raiders. He had a really good year last year, and so he's right there. So you'll have to go if you go to the ballpark, just yell, "Hey, Snoop's boy!" And Keyshawn, he'll turn around.
Snoop's boy.
I'll definitely have to remember that if they'll let me in, because I don't know if there's gonna be fans there in the first couple of weeks.
Just while that we're on that, what does that ballpark look like, Raphael? I mean, it looks when we look at it online, it looks like this is going to be the greatest thing we've probably ever seen. Have you driven by it? Like, what does it look like?
From the side view, it's huge. It looks like Jerry's World, but the Darth Vader kind of feel. If you look at it on the upper view, like from a helicopter and all that, it looks like a big Roomba that's going to go down the strip and clean it every day on the weekend, which would be nice because sometimes the strip can get very, very dirty. But yeah, it looks huge. I mean, I can't wait to actually go in there and see it. I was hoping to go in there over the summer because I do believe there could have been a good mega boxing match if this pandemic didn't happen. So I don't know what's going to happen first. I think the Raiders will probably play first now before a live boxing and UFC events. But I wouldn't be shocked if Tyson opens up as the first boxing match at the place.
Well, Vegas, wasn't it this week? It must have been because we had you on last week. So this week, the Vegas Commission said they're clearing the way for boxing and UFC in Vegas, right?
Yeah, Bob. UFC has an event on Saturday up at the Apex Center, and they have one next weekend. UFC 250 is going to be there, and then June, I think 13th at MGM, there's going to be Top Rank Boxing that's going to be live. I think on ESPN or Fox, one of the two. So yeah, boxing and UFC live events in June.
So maybe that goes into the new stadium before the Raiders play.
You know what? I know we were really hoping for Mayweather-Pacquiao 3 to open that event, and then they were hoping to maybe Pacquiao and McGregor to open up that event. But with everything pushed back, and they were maybe even Tyson Fury to fight in there, I would not be shocked if the Raiders open it up first, and then maybe sometime in the fall, because I know they want live fans to watch the boxing or UFC event. They don't want it empty like the Raiders week 1. There's not going to be no fans in the stands on week 1 in the NFL. I'm sorry, people, if you really think that's going to happen. But I think maybe November, December, January, maybe we could have a live boxing or UFC event where fans can be there. I think that's what they want. They don't want Tyson to fight in an empty stadium just because it's going to be on TV.
That ballpark will eventually hold Final Fours and I mean
everything.
Like, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking in my head. I mean, Vegas is becoming like the central location in the country for every major sporting event. I mean, anything else outside of the box, outside of football and boxing and basketball that you might see in that ballpark one day?
It's going to be interesting. I would not be shocked if you see like the big rugby tournaments that used to go down in California at USC and all that. They might move over to Vegas. I think we're going to see a lot bigger events going over now in Vegas. I feel bad for the smaller cities for Super Bowls that used to hold the Super Bowls, like New Orleans. No disrespect to their arena in New Orleans to hold a Super Bowl, but I'm sorry, you can keep on floating Arizona, Miami, Vegas for Super Bowls. You really don't need to go any other cities because those 3 events could really do something big, especially in Vegas. Who won't want to watch a Super Bowl in Vegas in February where the temperatures are still in the 60s and 70s than going to somewhere else where it could be freezing cold weather like they one time they had in Minnesota.
You're exactly right. On Twitter at VSI.Sports, that's Rafael Esparza, MyBookie.ag, up to $1,000 first deposit bonus. If you've never been a part of MyBookie, there's plenty to partake in now, even though the sports world has not totally found its way back just yet. We're getting there. All right, quickly, you mentioned UFC. I think it's tomorrow night. Burns, Woodley, who you have? What's the money line on this?
Woodley's minus 170, Burns plus 150, over unders 4.5. People pounding the under at 4.5. I like the under 4.5 too at minus 160. I think one of them gets hit and maybe gets tapped out or knocked out, maybe in the late rounds, 3rd or 4th round. I lean towards Woodley small, but I would not be shocked. One of my favorite fights on the card is Spike Carley versus Billy Quarantino. Spike Carley opened up at plus 130, now it's plus 110. You always got to root for the Southpaw Ginger fighter. Come on, give me some Spike money.
All right, I'm going back to Tyson here with you because I know we've been talking about that he's probably going to fight, and you like the odds of him fighting. Is there news that he might wrestle?
No.
Well, him and Chris Jericho are really, really close. They were been close since Tyson was over in WWE many years ago. So it didn't shock me that he jumped ship to go over to AEW. He was there for the pay-per-view. He was there on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. Yes, I'm a professional wrestler, odds maker as well. But so I don't see him fighting. I just think they just used him for TV ratings because AE Dynamite's always fighting for ratings against WWE's NXT. But I do believe he fights in the boxing ring sometime in 2020 for charity. If I had to pick it right now, what I'm hearing, Tito Ortiz is really, really close to signing to fight Mike Tyson. But there's, like I said, I've heard 3 or 4 other boxing names that's also on that list. But I do believe he's going to fight sometime in 2020. And it's all going to be for charity. So let's not forget it. It's all going to be for charity.
Wow.
I'm in. Whatever it is, put Tyson in the ring. I'm watching.
All right, couple quick ones for you.
Me too.
No doubt. Me too. Everybody. That's going to bring multiple generations together to watch that. All right, before we let you go, Supermarket Heroes 500 at Bristol will run on Sunday. Is it Kyle Busch right now at third? Who's I was sitting here looking at this just a little while ago. Now my computer's frozen up on me. I'm sorry. How about this? Let's ask it a different way. Who do you have in this race?
I like Danny Hamlin at 8-1. I really like Chase Elliott, but I just don't see him at back-to-back. If I'm going to pick a long shot, give me Jimmy Johnson at 22-1 or Eric Jones at 25-1. But I can guarantee you this. You can put this in the bank, bet the yes if you can find it. It will not rain this Sunday at the NASCAR Supermarket. There's 0% chance of rain right now on the radar for the Supermarket Heroes 500. So we've seen rain at NASCAR since they've revved up the engines a couple weeks ago, but this weekend, 0% chance of rain.
Last time you guaranteed something, it was a week ago at this exact time, and the guarantee was Phil Mickelson's going to wear a visor, book it. And I told you if that didn't happen, I'm going to bring it up.
But I think it's because of the rain that he wore the hat.
Yeah, I agree on that. But I did say that, so I will take the loss. I'm going to say that on your guys' podcast. I did lose a bet. I lost a ticket. I lost. Oh my God! Someone on social media said they lost a winning bet. Wow, that's a first. But yeah, if it wasn't for the rain, he would have had a visor on. Come on, with that nice leather hair that he has from 1970s, that's a visor hair.
That's right. And
got the flow.
That rain eventually worked its way right to us, where it was a newly named tropical storm. What was it, Bertha?
Yes.
That came on shore.
It was the same rain, wasn't it?
Bertha? Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, I got about a minute left, and then I got to let you run here, Raphael. But I don't think this will happen. But if in some crazy chance that we do not have a Major League Baseball season, how does that affect Vegas?
It won't affect Vegas that much because baseball's in the summer. We do take action on it, but not as much like if it was NFL. I think it would just devastate the sport of Major League Baseball. And right now, the sport of Major League Baseball is already being devastated because of minor league baseball being just – no one's talking about that, but minor league baseball – it's almost as going to be extinct than buffets in Las Vegas. So no one's talking about that. But if they don't play, it's going to take 6 to 10 years for baseball to rebound if they don't play this year. That's why I think they're going to get their act together in the next 5 to 7 days and get something going because I think they're playing tough right now. But I think in the back of their mind, they know the repercussions if they don't play. That'd be devastating for the sport of Major League Baseball.
Very, very, very well said. Up to $1,000 sign-up bonus, mybookie.ag. There's so much you can still do and have fun with here, even in this slow pandemic time we're all crawling through. Like UFC this weekend. Obviously, golf is back, but so many esports. They've got election odds up there, NFL odds week 1, Korea baseball, you name it, it's there. Madden NFL odds. Raphael's the genius behind all this stuff. I don't know how you do it, but we're glad you do. There's no doubt about that. You can follow him on Twitter, and we hope that you will, at VSI Doc Sports. Thank you so much again, man. Stay cool out there in what is a very hot Las Vegas, and we'll catch you next Friday.
Yeah, it's only 100 degrees. It's a dry heat.
Oh, it's dry. Yeah, that's right. You're
Whatever.
good. No problem. Thanks, bud.
Take it easy, guys. Stay healthy.
See ya. You too. Thank you. There you go. Raphael Esparza with mybookie.ag. All right. The end of the hour has arrived. When we return, we will welcome Frankie Mansfield. He is with the Moultrie News and the Post and Courier. yesterday the South Carolina High School League handed down their, I don't know what you call them, guidelines?
Yeah, ruling, guidelines, procedural packet, whatever.
But did they? They kind of just pushed it off on some other people is what they did. So we'll let Frankie explain that. We'll get into that baseball stuff Raphael was talking about just a moment ago as well.
You know what else I want to hear from Frankie? The Josiah James story that he had.
Really cool story.
Yeah.
Josiah was on my show a couple years ago. Great kid.
Good.
Great kid. Hang tight. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
We've been telling you guys about Stokes Volkswagen and the best car offer of all time, but you only have a couple more days to actually cash in on that offer. Here's Ryan Nelson with more.
That's correct. It is an unprecedented offer that Volkswagen has decided it will be good only until June 1st. So we need you to get into Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate. It's 120 days until your first payment, 0% APR for 72 months for new 2019 and 2020 Volkswagens. Check them out online, stokesvw.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris liquor stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
One of these drinks is gonna cloud my memory.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Sisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family-style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online. Here are your hosts, Jamie Bradford and Darren Goldwater.
All right, welcome back. Hour 2, final hour of the work week for us here on the JB and Goldwater Show. Hour 1 in the books. Thanks to Rafael Esparza for joining us in that last segment. We are live on the Podbean app where you can listen for one more hour. You can also watch for one more hour on YouTube, on Facebook Live, on Twitter, on...
You got a Periscope, but that's kind of the same thing as Twitter.
Okay. All right, there you go. So we got all
one
that.
of them owns the other one, and then Periscope streams to Twitter.
Okay.
That's something.
We're also jbandgoldwatershow.com, jbandgoldwatershow.com. We're at JB and Goldwater on Twitter. I am at Sports Radio JB. He is at Darren Goldwater on Twitter, and we hope that you'll follow us and join us there. All right. Back to the phone lines we go. And this time we don't have to go all the way to Vegas to get some quality content around here. We just have to go right down the street. It's our friend Frankie Mansfield with the Moultrie News and the Post and Courier here in the Low Country, one of the finest prep writers you'll find, not just in the state of South Carolina, but anywhere. His work is sensational. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
How are you?
Doing well, man. Hey, I was checking out the live stream earlier, How did I not get invited to this live stream? How did I not get invited to Darren's Frog or whatever you guys are in right there? I need some FaceTime on that thing.
No, so next time, because this is the first week of it, and I've been messing around with
Okay.
like daily it has changed. So the graphics up there today are new for today because I was covering up Jamie's face, so that wasn't working out very well. So this is a little bit sharper, I hope. And it took me a while to figure out the whole Twitter and Periscope thing, and it took me even longer to figure out really the whole overall streaming thing. So I've pretty much got it now. So next time you can be right there behind the helmets.
I thought it looked good, man. I thought it looked good. I won't say the same for the host, but the setup and the stream and the clarity, it looked good, man.
I agree. You can. Hey, I will gladly give up my seat for you. I hate sitting in front of cameras, so you can have mine. You can have mine anytime you want to. Y'all call me. No problem. No problem. All right. Well, let's get to the. I don't know what this is. The high school league yesterday, Frankie, hands down essentially a set of guidelines, right, for how high school athletics can return to their respective venues or fields or whatever you want to call them this summer. I'm going to let you really kind of clarify this. The way that I read this, the high school league basically said, districts, y'all handle it. Am I incorrect there, or how's this working?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. They basically gave the okay to return. Once the school districts say people can be back on campus, then the teams can kind of follow suit. So if there's academic things going on campus, then sports in a limited capacity, according to these new guidelines, can be on campus, on the facilities, that whole thing. So yeah, you're right. It was kind of like, you can come back, but wait until the school districts say that everything can come back before sports will, which is in a sense saying we're kind of done dealing with this. We're giving you these guidelines. This is the first phase of it. When the school districts say you can come back, then the first phase begins. So there will be like more from the high school league. There'll be 2 other phases that they didn't really outline. They sent over a ton of documents yesterday, and all of it was sort of focused on this first phase. So I imagine as things change, maybe improve, they will send over those other phases. So that's kind of all you're waiting to hear from the high school league side. But as far as the return date, yeah, it's up to the school districts now.
What have you heard from the coaches? I'm sure you've talked with some of the football coaches in the state once this guideline came out. What are they saying?
Yeah, all different reactions, man. Mm-hmm. Some of them I think were looking on they were looking for that hard date to return. They kind of wanted some certainty. They kind of, a lot of them are out in limbo, man. It was so weird. We got a hold of the guidelines kind of earlier in the afternoon and started tweeting some things out. And I had coaches reaching out to me like, hey, what does this mean? Like, why haven't I seen these, this, that, and the other? So there is so much like uncertainty among like the coaches between them and the high school league. It took a while for the information to sort of trickle down and for them to sort of absorb it. So there were some opinions on both sides. There were some people saying that like, hey, we wanted like a concrete date. We want to know what we want to do. Some coaches are very organized in that way where they need that sort of structure and they want to know. They don't want to be hanging out in limbo. And then there were other coaches that kind of looked at it from the other side that said, you know what, this is sort of the best move. When you think about it, they are passing it off to the school districts, but it sort of makes sense because giving a hard date, at least to me, for the whole state doesn't really work because certain districts will be able to return quicker than others just because of different resources, different money, different access to these resources. And it would make more sense for an area like here, like Charleston County, to return quicker than it would in an area like Kershaw County, where the numbers were a lot worse. So I think part of that makes sense, that it needs to be a case-by-case situation, and the districts are a little bit more familiar with specifically how things are operating than the high school league is as a whole. So I think that's the perspective. You had coaches that were kind of upset, like, hey, you didn't really tell us anything other than these new guidelines. And then there were other coaches that said, okay, this makes a little more sense. We'll be able to move forward as it's appropriate within our school district.
All right, so any information regarding how these athletes will participate in their sport? Let's talk football. That's the main sport. I think that everybody is kind of circled around here. When they get out there, What does this look like as far as workouts and things like that go?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot different. And I heard some of that from coaches too. Like, hey, we really can't do anything as far as, football related was the initial reaction. But to me, it's kind of like any kind of progress is better than nothing. So we were doing nothing for the past couple months. I mean, there were virtual workouts and stuff like that, but I have a little brother who played. I mean, nobody was really doing a whole lot. So it's significant to me that there is progress. But it's not what we're used to, especially in the summer. So they separated the sports into 3 different tiers, from low risk to high risk. Obviously, football, lacrosse, even cheerleading is in high risk section, where people will be in contact most of the time. They're exchanging balls, things like that. So there are some guidelines. I mean, there's a lot of guidelines, I should say, and a lot of that involves, you can't use the locker rooms. It's things like you can't exchange balls, you can't wear helmets and equipment and stuff like that. But those rules are kind of in place already, depending on what time of the summer it was. But anyway, there's so many different requirements and stipulations. When you come to practice every day or your workout, whatever it may be, you're going to have to get a health screening. Which is not uncommon. I mean, when I walk into the office downtown every day, we have to have our temperature read before we can come in the door. So, I mean, you're seeing this in other organizations. This will just be a little bit different from what the kids are used to. You have to do a new physical. There's all kinds of things like safety precautions, and they are sort of sport specific. So, like certain sports are allowed to do more things than others. Like obviously cross country and things like that. They're not going to be in contact with each other the same way that football would. So the rules are a little more lenient for cross country. It's really just you can't be grouped together. Then you look at something like weightlifting. You can't have spotters over you in the weight room. You can only have 10 guys in the weight room. You can only have 10 guys in the gym at one point. So if you're doing basketball or something like that. So there's all kinds of things, man. When they first sent it over, I just kind of read through it for an hour and just read through all the different kinds of things and kind of where we stand on different things. Basically, you can work out again. You can be as a team again. I guess you could walk through plays and stuff if you're socially distanced. But it's going to be a lot different without actually having a football out there or whatever it may be. Even tennis, where tennis was one of the first sports to come back sort of in our society just because you're separated in that way. You can't share a tennis ball in tennis. And if you do, I think one of the rules is you're supposed to pass it with the racket instead of your hand. So it's things like that. I mean, I don't know how they'll police if a kid is passing the tennis ball with the racket versus his hand, but I mean, there's so many little things, and I mean, it's necessary. I mean, they're trying to bring things back and be as careful as possible. And they've had this huge task force, all kinds of health officials and superintendents and high school league members who have all added their input and tried to come up with this. So, you know what? It'll be a lot different. But like I said from the start, at least they get to do something now, whereas for the past few months, they've really just been sitting at home.
Did you see the
I'm sorry,
town superintendent, I think it was a town either way, of a town in New York explaining how tennis could come back? Did you see that thing? It must have gone viral.
I don't know if I saw that. What was it about?
The lady standing up there talking about you
All
can't.
right. I'll come back. I'll find it and I'll play it. It'll be much more effective that way.
Yeah, Darren's all over this ball touching thing when it comes to the sport of tennis. I had to. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but I was laughing. Okay, no spotter. Okay, so that guy just took 235 off the rack, and it's currently on his neck. What do you do about that? I
know that one jumped off the page for sure. I think what they meant, I don't know. I think from the way I interpreted it is like maybe there is a spotter, but he's not going to be over you in the traditional way. That would obviously change max outs and stuff like that. I mean, it gets a little tricky. I think what they were saying is you're not going to have the guy standing over you in the same way. It is different, man. It's going to be weird. And I know, but that was one of the things somebody shot me on Twitter was like, this is a health issue. And, in some way, a safety issue. In some ways, yeah, but I think it just changes sort of your approach and how you operate. And only having 10 guys in the weight room at once, maybe you are able to pay a little more attention to that guy who might drop the bar on his neck. I don't know. But I guess that's up to the coaches and the strength and conditioning guys to work out.
I can tell you, Frankie, when you and I were in high school at Wando, guys like myself and Mike Sisko and Russell Robinson, these names who you know quite well, not only did we stand over each other when we were spotting, we played
games.
Definitely, we played some pranks, and you could probably figure out which ones they were to make sure, don't drop it. Don't drop it.
That's like a rite of passage in the high school weight room.
I
man,
know.
If we're being honest, I totally know where you're going.
Yeah.
So maybe you see a little bit less of that. Which I don't know. I think it was kind of good for the dynamic of the team to have a little bit of that. Like I said, you got to go through some of that. But not this summer. Not the same way we used to do it. Not this summer, at least.
And if offensive linemen are 6 feet apart, there's going to be a lot of blitzing inside the tackles. there's some holes up front.
Right.
Let's get in there.
But the defense can't go rushing at the offensive lineman anyway.
That's right. Yeah. Blow the whistle.
All right. So, Frankie, here are some tennis guidelines for you from a town supervisor in New York. If it plays.
Darren and his tennis ball.
Every player, unless they're from the same household, has to bring their own tennis balls so that you don't touch other people's tennis balls with your hands. You can kick their balls, but you can't touch them. I'm going to blush, sorry.
Tricky.
I'm going to blush.
Delivery right there.
Yeah, I think she was trying to navigate the waters
She
on
was,
that.
and she lasted 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's not great. Not great. All right, Frankie Mansfield on Twitter at MNFrankie. If you're not following him, then you're not following sports, especially in depth as he goes here in the Low Country. It seems about every week Frankie comes out with a story, and everybody's like, oh, my God, where did he find that? How did that happen? This week, it was a story on a wonderful, wonderful young man who's playing basketball currently at the University of Tennessee, but he hails from Charleston, South Carolina, where he played at Porter Goud and played for TMP, and his name is Josiah James. You're going to see him in the NBA one day. I'm going to let you give away as much of this story as you'd like to, but I do want people to go read the story, which is also available in the Moultrie News, of course. But kind of explain what I've kind of discussed to this point.
Yeah, man, it was a really cool story. Kind of popped up out of nowhere, and it was so wild to me that I called a few different people involved in it, just separately. Didn't tell each other that I was going to be reaching out to them, just to kind of see their sides of the story, to see how things sort of matched up, and it did match up, and it was like, wow, this is different. This is such a cool story. So I heard about it. There was who I think was a family member, lived in. Might have been Tennessee, actually, in a different state. And she sent me a screenshot and was like, hey, my nephew, I think it was, ran into Josiah James. I saw you covered him, da-da-da-da. I thought this was really cool. Check it out. Essentially what happened, Josiah was driving home from a cookout, drove past father and son who were sort of working out in the driveway. And this is late at night out in North Charleston. He was on his way to his mother's house. He kind of crept by and watched them for a minute, and then I don't know, man, just kind of got inspired and was like, I want to do something to help this kid. The kid, the way his father and even the kid explained it, it was kind of a rough day, and training wasn't going very well, and he was just sort of having a hard night. And I guess Josiah could tell that from watching them work out. So he goes home and he gets his All-American sneakers that he wore at the McDonald's game, autographs them, and brings them back. And pulls back up to the house, and check out the story because there's a million details. I'm probably running over some of them, but he drives past the house once, U-turns, drives up to it again, parks a little ways down the street. The whole time the father, by now it's 9 o'clock at night, it's pitch dark out in North Charleston. The father's like, what the heck is going on here? And out pops Josiah, 6'7", in the dark, and he says, first thing he says to him was, look, I don't want to scare you guys. I don't know you, but I just saw you guys working out. It reminded me of me and my father. And I saw what you guys had going on, and I loved it. And he said, he didn't tell him that he played basketball. He didn't tell him that he played at Porter Goud or Tennessee or anywhere. He just said, look, I played a little too. You know what? I played in this All-Star game a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was. And he said, I just was wondering if, you might be interested in having these. And so he pulls out the shoes, and immediately the kid, who is huge, basketball fan. He's got a great following on Instagram and YouTube, and he's supposedly some kind of prodigy kind of kid coming up, nationally ranked third grader or whatever it is. And so, the kid's, holy cow, you know what I mean? And the dad even said at first that he didn't even really know, like, what exactly was happening or if this was real or whatever. They kind of looked Josiah up after the fact and were just kind of blown away, man. And they hung out for, 30 minutes and shot the breeze and talked a little basketball and just kind of life. And it was kind of incredible how they crossed paths. So like I said, the kid is a little advanced for his age and is already receiving some kind of interest. Now, I'm not saying he's getting recruited necessarily yet, but he's been at some select camps and things like that. And Josiah is a kid who was sort of on that same path, who got noticed really early and attended all those camps and went through the recruiting process earlier than most. So they were late in that way, and they just kind of shot the breeze. And, Josiah gave him his phone number, which if you know Josiah, that's really unusual. He doesn't give it out to a lot of people. Right. So kid calls the following morning and says, hey, we're leaving town. Can I take a picture with you? And Josiah obliges, and he comes over with a bunch of Tennessee gear and says, here, I got some stuff for you. Put this stuff on. Let's take a picture. And that was kind of the end of it. And so I saw it, and I was, I talked to Josiah a little bit, and the text message was like, man, I think this is awesome. I don't know, like, kind of how you feel about putting it out there. And he was saying, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it or anything like that. And even the dad said that he didn't give him his name at first because he doesn't think like he wanted the dad to make a big deal out of it. He just kind of wanted to move on sort of anonymously. And so the more we talked, and he was like, all right, yeah, we can do something and we can talk about it. And so we put it out there, man. And we received some great feedback. I mean, that one of the kids, I had two people from Tennessee who are, I guess, Vols fans, who said, I love this story. Josiah did something like this for my kid in Tennessee that, wow, nobody knew. And that two different cases, people I had no idea who they were reached out to me to tell me that, on top of what happened last weekend. It just, man, it blows you away. People see Josiah and they think, NBA prospect and this, that, and the third, and he's great at basketball, and he certainly is. But man, when you start to hear some of these stories, it's just different, man. I'm around a lot of high school kids. I'm around a lot of really good high school kids. We're blessed in this area to have some really smart, thoughtful kids. But Josiah's a little bit different, man. Like, you don't see stuff like that all the time. His mom said, you gave away your McDonald's sneakers. Like, I wanted to save those. Like, that's special to me. And then when she kind of saw it, she's like, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? This is something different. And she was okay with it. And I don't even know if he wants this out there, but he said he's got a closet full of stuff he's trying to give away. Or not, I don't know, trying to, but he said he would give away if the situation was the right situation. I said, don't you want to keep some of this stuff? Like, isn't this, this stuff is really cool. And he says, he's like, look, man, I'm not doing anything with it. He's like, it does mean a lot to me, but it's probably going to mean a lot more to that third grader who's having a hard day than it will in my room, in my closet. And I'm a grown man, and that kind of perspective just hits you, man. It's like, there's grown men who don't even have that same kind of perspective, man. It's just incredible. So I probably rambled on a little bit there. And I left a lot of stuff out. It's just, at the end of the day, man, it's something so different. Like I said, I'm around these kids all the time. There's some great kids, but it's something different, man, with him.
I mean, like, it's not just some grown adults. It's good to know that that's the type of person that Josiah is, because it's rare. You hope that more people are like that, but it is rare. But do you have on your calendar, the kid is what, in third grade, and he's supposedly some prospect. So are you going to check in with him in, 6, 10 years? Have you put it on your calendar for 10 years down the road where he is in college?
I told him I'd keep an eye on him, man. It's you know what? I don't know if my memory is that good anymore to keep up with stuff like that. I need to put it in my phone or something in a few years, check back with him. But it's and talking to his parents, you have to navigate what's legitimate and what's not. But apparently, he's getting a little bit of attention. I don't know exactly what that means in third grade, but to the point where high schools are recruiting him. And they're from that's another cool part of the story. They didn't even live in Charleston. They're from Georgia. They just happened to be there at their grandmother's house. She was going through some health issues. They were just there helping. the kid kind of made his own basketball court out of an old hoop that was in the backyard, wheeled it out to the front. And so he's just working out over there. They're actually from Georgia. They have family in the area. They talked about maybe moving back here to play high school ball. But I said, are you guys, he's got coaches from Duke and Kentucky that follow him on Instagram. Devin Booker from the NBA All-Star, he follows him on Instagram. It's like, it's weird kind of just situation. I'm like, man, this kid's in third grade. But I said, what? I said, what do you have a favorite college team? He's like, oh, well, I like Duke. I like Kentucky. Their coaches follow me, da-da-da-da. And I said, well, what about the Vols now? And he's like, oh, I love Tennessee now. I want to go to as many games as I can and this whole thing. And it's just incredible, man. It's like the influence that this kid can have. And I don't think Josiah was necessarily thinking, like, I want to make him a Vols fan. I just think he was like, I want to make him a basketball fan. I don't want him to get burnt out. And so it's different, man. It's so different. Maybe you will hear about this kid, Damian Holmes. I mean, you can Google him. Pull him up on YouTube. He's got like dribbling videos, and he's playing in these third grade tournaments. I guess he's in third grade, but he plays in like the sixth grade league or whatever. It's he's got a better handle than I do. I mean, I looked at some of his videos. I'm like, God, the kid's better than I am right now. So we'll see, man. I don't know. You may see him in high school sooner than later around here. His brother played at Fort Dorchester and then ended up at Charleston Charter. So you may see him in high school around here, but yeah. Keep an eye out, man. I don't know. Class of, I can't even put a number on, I guess 9 years or something like that from now, you may see him. So we'll see what happens.
Good for him.
It's an awesome story. I do want to add this, too. If you read the story, at the beginning of this story, as Frankie is kind of beginning to unfold how these events took place this evening, Frankie writes that Josiah had actually gone home first, and he has a new puppy. What is his puppy's name?
Oh man, yeah, it's Mamba. I mean, after Kobe, I didn't ask him. I don't know. I may be speaking out of that. I don't know, but I can just guess that that's after Kobe.
I would think so.
Yeah. But that story in itself, like when they told me that story, I'm like. That's what I mean. Like this whole, like the whole explanation of what had happened over that day. I'm just like, what? Like this is all like how can all this be true? But it is. So he got a new puppy, and he got it from a sort of sketchy situation. This guy was kind of selling dogs for $25 out of his backyard.
Wow.
It was a shoddy setup. The dog came back with mange and fleas, and the mom, was chained to the tree. It was an ugly situation, which unfortunately happens too often in backwoods South Carolina and Georgia in the South. So anyway, so Josiah buys this dog and goes home and is like still kind of shook by the scene of where he got the dog. So he goes back the next day and buys 6 more of them, buys them all for $25 each. This kid doesn't have a job or anything. It doesn't sound like a lot of money, but just for a kid to be like, I'll take all 6 of them. So he's got 7 puppies just because, like, I don't know, it was weighing on him, like the situation out there. And it's like that in and of itself just sort of describes like what I'm talking about, like what kind of kid this is. It's like, what do you mean you got 6 of the siblings? Like who does that? It doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? I'm as big of a dog lover as anyone, and I don't know if I would be ready to take on 6 puppies at once.
No.
It's just like, man, you know what I mean? It's nuts, man. So I included that at the beginning just to kind of give people who might not be familiar with Josiah a quick look at like, hey, this is a different kind of kid. Now here's the rest of his story. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I skimmed over that. I forgot that I had that in there. Yeah, that is what I mean by I say he's different.
He is different. There's no doubt. And we'll end this conversation with this. I do find it incredibly. It's disappointing, to be honest, that just a couple of years ago, when Josiah James committed to Tennessee, Frankie, and this was right after he was on this is when I was still in the mornings. He was still on my morning show before I moved to the afternoons on ESPN. And then he ended up committing to the Vols. And right when that happened, I think you and I talked about this. I said, I cannot wait to be – I would have loved to have seen these guys stay in state, but I couldn't wait to watch Vanderbilt and Tennessee play basketball in the future because you get to see 2 best friends from Porter-Gaud, from Charleston, South Carolina, play against each other, and Josiah James and Aaron Nesmith, who is a year older. Well, Aaron was leading the SEC in scoring this past year and then goes down with that injury, and he's, of course, elected to move on to the NBA draft, and he will go in the first round on June the 25th, which is exciting. But we never got to see those guys play head-to-head in college, but maybe, just maybe, that means they'll be able to play head-to-head in the NBA in the next couple of years, and maybe that will be the next big story that Frankie Mansfield will get to write on Aaron Nesmith and Josiah James.
Yeah, I was disappointed with that one, not getting to see those two go at each other. Josiah will be in town next season with Tennessee. They're playing in that Charleston Classic downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's coming, so that'll be kind of cool. People get to see him playing that. You're right, though, losing that matchup. What about if we get all three of the Porter-Gaud kids? Like, what, who knows where they ended up? When we did the story on Aaron, I talked to Chris a little bit and was like, man, what if you line up against Aaron one day? Aaron's probably going to be a forward. He might have to guard Chris. Like, how cool would that be? And he says, how cool would it be if we drafted him and he was on my team? And I'm thinking that's even cooler. And as much as they played together and pick up in the whole thing, I was like, yeah, how cool would it be if somehow we got all three of them on the floor at the same time? It would be a lot of fun. They were sort of following that story. The schools were between Josiah and Aaron getting to play each other, and they were doing some kind of like mini, documentary. I don't know like the right word for it, just kind of a video. They were sort of following them in the lead up to that, and then Aaron got hurt and they weren't able to do it. So they still kind of did a little like interview or whatever after the game. And after everyone left, both of them told me the story. They're just kind of sitting in the arena by themselves. It's an empty arena. There's a couple guys cleaning up, and they're just kind of shooting the breeze. They don't get a ton of time to really just hang out anymore just because of how busy the college basketball life is. And so they're just kind of sitting there in an empty arena and just, Aaron's got a boot on and Josiah had just played. And they're just like, man, like how crazy is life? A couple of years ago, all we had to worry about was playing, Pinewood Prep down the road for Porter-Gaud or something. He's like, now these cameras want to do interviews and we're hanging out in this arena and, they're talking about NBA this and when we're going to get drafted. And the two of them were able to kind of just sit and reflect for a second and kind of say, look how far we've come in a couple of years. It's incredible, man. And I just thought that was a really cool moment that both of them brought up to me, just the fact that they had a couple minutes alone to kind of sit in an empty arena and just kind of reflect on the past couple of years. It seems like just yesterday they were winning state titles for Porter-Gaud, and now they're talking about Aaron top 15 pick, and Josiah has been projected first round for the past couple of years whenever he comes out. So incredible stuff, man. I hope people appreciate it because it's very rare. It's very rare for them to be from the same town, but then to be from the same school. So I hope people appreciate it. And like I said, Josiah will be here, and I think it's October when they're having that tournament or whenever it is. November. So definitely get a glimpse, man. If it goes on, if it happens like we hope it will, and everyone's allowed in, and whatever the case may be, check it out, man, because it's cool stuff. It's like I said about Josiah, it's different, it's unique. You don't see it a ton, so appreciate it while it's happening. Is the best way I'll put it.
We always appreciate you while you're happening, and you're always happening. Frankie Mansfield, he's with the Moultrie News at M in Frankie, one of the finest writers you'll find out there. We're lucky to have him as part of our program. We can't wait for football, though, because during football season, Frankie comes on here on Fridays, and he just blabbers on and on about all the teams that are playing this weekend, and he tells you about their parents and their aunts and uncles and their dogs and all that type of stuff.
It was must listen to for me calling the games every now and then on Friday nights. Like, what can I steal from Frankie today?
There's no doubt. I mean, you're not the only person who's said that. You have a different perspective, but I've had a lot of people who've said that to me in the past when I was on ESPN. People would comment all the time. I learned so much from that segment with Frankie Mansfield. And so that was really neat, and we certainly appreciate that. Frankie, have a great weekend. Hope you and the family are doing well as we all start to kind of make our way back into life, and we'll have you back soon, okay?
Absolutely, brother. I enjoyed it as always, guys. You have a good weekend as well. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you, man. There you go. Frankie Mansfield. Great story on Josiah James. All right, final timeout of the afternoon has arrived. When we return, we'll tell you what day it is on the National Days calendar, plus a can't-miss E60 tonight. If you don't know about it, we will tell you when we get back.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
We've been telling you guys about Stokes Volkswagen and the best car offer of all time, but you only have a couple more days to actually cash in on that offer. Here's Ryan Nelson with more.
That's correct. It is an unprecedented offer that Volkswagen has decided it will be good only until June 1st. So we need you to get into Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate. It's 120 days until your first payment, 0% APR for 72 months for new 2019 and 2020 Volkswagens. Check them out online, stokesvw.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris liquor stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
One of these drinks is gonna cloud my memory.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
To have a radio station everyone loves.
I love them a lot. JB and Darren.
I love you, man. I love you too, bud. I love you, dude. I love you, Bro Montana. I love you, Holmes. I love you, Broseph Goebbels. I love you, Machacha. I love you, Tico Brohe.
Okay. Let's continue here.
On the JB and Goldwater Show.
All right, final segment of the afternoon and of the week, 1:37 on a beautiful Friday afternoon here in the Low Country. I thought it was supposed to rain today, so we missed the mark on that. I think it is supposed to rain tomorrow throughout the afternoon. It is my weekend with the children.
And mine, with the child.
That's right, with the child, yeah. Last weekend I was in the mountains. This weekend Carrie's in the mountains.
That's exactly where Ryan went, to just outside of Asheville, spend some time, some good girl time with a former neighbor that moved up there. So both of us are daddy daycare for the weekend, which means the rain you just talked about tomorrow does not make me very excited.
Yeah,
we'll figure something.
I know. I got to figure out something to do.
I mean, I've been homeschooling for however long. Like, I've figured out something. Like, the iPad and the TV is good. That's what I figured.
My kids have to move. Like, they can't.
Like, out of the house?
Yeah, they can't just. They can't just, like, hang out all day.
No, neither can Grace.
I mean, they're one. But they have to, especially Riley. She's got to go. I mean, if we're doing something for more than 20 minutes or something, it's like, all right, we got to do something different.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to cause holy hell around here.
Yeah. Grayson's the same way. Even if she just wants to relax, she's going to be watching something and jumping on the couch at the same time. Like, can you sit? Can you just calm down for 5 minutes? Just sit and just enjoy for 5 minutes. No. No.
Tonight, though, put her in bed early because at 7 o'clock on ESPN,
I'll set the DVR.
E60, Imperfect, the Roy Halladay story.
Oh.
And if you've seen the 2-minute preview for this, it is heartbreaking, but it will be a very special presentation. His wife is in this, and she goes in depth about some issues that Roy was dealing with. And it just goes to show you that you just never know. I mean, these guys look bigger than life. We have people now who call them babies because of the money that they want during this pandemic and this, that, and the other. These people go through a lot. They do. And I'm not going to sit here and speak on behalf of anybody in professional sports, but I have been around plenty of professional athletes who you think have it all. And when it comes to the luxurious items, for the most part, they do.
On the surface, they do.
But I can assure you of one thing. Sometimes what happens with these guys, Darren, and I don't want to sound like a know-it-all here at all. But what happens with these guys and gals is there's an expectation that they feel like they consistently need to uphold, an image. And if you think that it, like in baseball, when you step into the batter's box, the best hitters are able to drown out the noise around them. And they can for that moment there. And generally the guys on the bump who step out there and throw 90, 100 pitches, whatever it is a game, they can drown out the noise around them. The quarterbacks can drown out the noise around them. The guys in the NBA, I mean, these athletes in their moment, which is really their safe space, they can drown that out. But if you think for 1 second that they just don't hear anything, you are so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do, and it never stops. And you know, if they're negotiating a contract, Darren, or if they get a speeding ticket, or if they have if they have a bad game, I mean, these are the guys who walk into a gas station and someone looks at them and goes, "You're a bum. You cost me $500 last night," and it does affect people, you know. And they look at it and they, they might tell you to go F yourself, but at the same time, think about that for a second. How hard that hurts some people, where somebody else invests so much of their lives in what you do, and you let them down somehow. You don't even know who they are, and you've let them down, and they blame you for it.
Yeah, depression,
and it happens.
It doesn't discriminate. It just doesn't.
It doesn't.
It can be anyone, anytime, and like you said at the very beginning of the thought, on the surface, they have it all. They do, and from the outside looking in, it's very easy to say, man, I wish I could have it all just like that. But whether it's a professional athlete or someone you see in a restaurant, like you don't know. You don't know what anyone else is dealing with. You just don't. And it's something to be mindful of. Mm-hmm. On an everyday basis. The people you come in contact with, you just don't know what they're dealing with. That's so, right. I mean, if you get if you get a nasty response, like, you don't know what they're dealing with. So just be a good person.
That's right.
It's really simple. It
not
boils down
difficult.
so.
Don't get me wrong. There are days where I'm not wanting to do that, and I might not, because there are some folks in life who can really press your buttons. But for the most part, yeah, you're right. So 7 o'clock E60 tonight.
Got it. I will set the DVR.
My kids have been going to bed. They usually get to bed about 6:30, 6:45 anyways.
And sleep through the night?
They sleep through. Well, Riley was having a tough night last night. She didn't feel very good. But, they sleep until about 7 o'clock the next morning.
Beautiful.
They do now.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, if you're getting them to bed at that point in time, then that's a lot of dad time.
I get that a lot where people go, oh, man, you've got the whole night. I'm like, whoa, hold on just a second here. My wife and I went through 6 months of beyond hell.
Oh, yeah.
With two of them. You couldn't get them both days. You might have one, not the other. Then that one wakes up and you're doing this all
24 hours of
dude. It was never ending. I mean, we're still tired all the time, but I mean, everybody has kids. You're never not tired anymore. But but we were just tired constantly. It was longer than that. It was probably 8 months. I'm just constant every day. But we worked through it.
Well, I mean, the fact.
And because I was so
the
tired
fact that they're going down at 6 or 6:30 and sleeping through the night, that's good for parents.
It is, yeah, it's great. Yeah, we can get things done, and or you know what, just like sit there and look around and go, oh, it's quiet. Shh, don't say. Carrie said one time, she said, we're not going to be the parents who, if people come over or something like that, who were going, shh, be quiet, the kids are sleeping. I said, no, you're right, because they need to learn to sleep through things, and they have the little noise machine and all this, that, and the other. No, we're not going to change every single thing, and our kids need to adapt. However, there are times, like last night when a couple of our girlfriends were there because they were going to Maggie Valley, I was like, shut up. If you wake those kids up, we're going to have a problem. Oh, they can't hear. I'm like, but at the chance that they do, tonight, we need to sleep.
Yes.
I have a long weekend ahead, just as my wife did last weekend. So anyways, Carrie, for listening. We hope you're enjoying Maggie Valley. See you on Sunday afternoon. All right, you ready? You ready what day it is? Okay.
Yes, sir.
2 days today.
Is it better than National Burger Day?
No. And nothing's better than Wednesday, National Cellophane Tape Day.
Don't miss May 27th.
Happy National Coke à vie Day.
Coke à vie?
It's French.
For?
Bonjour.
Just hello?
It celebrates a delicious French dish. Coke à vie is...
Hang on. These are...
It's
Americans' National Day, and
I know.
It's the National Day of a French thing.
Yeah, but we also have like National Taco Day and things like that.
Okay, continue.
The dish is French braise of chicken cooked with wine, lardons, which are salt pork, mushrooms, and garlic.
Okay, it sounds okay.
Coq à vie translates to, in English,
chicken.
Rooster with wine.
So for you Gamecock fans or Tiger fans, if you want to eat a Gamecock, rooster with wine.
Yeah. Rooster with wine.
Coke à vie.
Coke à vie actually can be pronounced Coke like Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Or cock.
So again,
like
Tiger
Gamecock,
fans.
like
so
Gamecock.
Tiger fans, take note because you're going to have lots of chances across all sports.
Yeah.
This is the new taunt.
Somebody listening to this just heard me say that.
Cock-a-vie.
Yeah, and they're going to be like,
Cock-a-vie.
I can come up with a couple jokes with cock à vie in it. Yeah. Those are for... Call another show with those.
All right, so it's National Cock à vie Day.
Coke à vie.
Yeah, Coke à vie.
Today also is National Paperclip Day, everybody. Congratulations.
Multi-use tool.
So while you're wrapping yourself in cellophane as you still continue the May 27th celebration, cellophane tape, you can clip a couple paper clips on your ears and just have one big office party with yourself.
Paper clips are a magical tool. I mean, MacGyver can do anything with them. People can pick locks with them.
Yeah.
They can do their initial purpose.
Because largely today this show has been meaningless. Do you want me to give you the days for the end of the weekend, the rest of May?
You may. What? I mean, my sister's birthday is tomorrow.
Okay, all right. So, well, how about this? She can celebrate with a mint julep. It is National Mint Julep Day.
All right.
Why would that day not be on the day of the Kentucky Derby?
It should be.
It should be every year. The day I know the Derby moves dates, but it just,
so
whatever day the Derby is, that's our day.
So the mint julep basically gets 2 days because that is mint julep.
That is mint julep day. Yeah, exactly. That's a one day you and I maybe we'll do it the next week or two as we get into June. We'll do a segment on our top bucket list events we'd like to attend.
Okay.
Let's do a bucket list thing because the Kentucky Derby is at the top of my bucket list.
The very top.
Well, it's in the top 5.
Okay.
It is also tomorrow National Creativity Day. So if you're a creative person, congratulations. Celebrate yourself.
My sister's pretty creative.
Yeah. Tomorrow, this is a wonderful day. It is National World Multiple Sclerosis Day.
Okay.
National and World Multiple Sclerosis Day.
Okay.
It is also National Water a Flower Day tomorrow. So
Good reminder. That was one of the last things that Ryan said when she left was don't forget to water.
Don't worry, it's going to rain tomorrow. You're good.
No, it's an indoor one.
Oh.
And I forget what it's called, but I know which one it is.
Carrie and I kill those things.
Indoor
flowers do not survive in our house.
I don't take care of grass well or flowers well or...
But before you water the flowers, make sure you celebrate this day. National Hole in My Bucket Day.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
So tomorrow has like 5 days, and one of them is National Hole in Your Bucket Day?
National Hole in My Bucket Day. So if you go to fill that bucket up with water, make sure there's not a hole in it.
Why
so
is there a national day for buckets with holes that can't serve their purpose as buckets?
National Hole in My Bucket Day. But we'll move on to Sunday, which is a much better day.
Okay.
National Save Your Hearing Day. Okay.
That's important.
Don't turn it up too loud on Sunday, folks. If you're watching the race at Bristol, volume low.
Yep.
It is also, and some of you should work on this, National Speak in Sentences Day on Sunday.
Lots of people can just take a minute and focus on that.
Huh?
Yep.
What?
Yeah, that's my daughter. What? Why?
It is also National Macaroon Day on Sunday.
Yeah, gotta love some macaroons.
Got a friend she is wonderful at making homemade macaroons.
Okay.
If you love the West, it is National Utah Day. We'll all celebrate the Utes.
Is it like the birthday of Utah? Like South Carolina just had its birthday.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
And most importantly, and we should all do this every day. For everybody's health, you should do this every day. And I do. I 100% do every day. It is National Smile Day.
Yeah, okay. Every day should be Smile Day. If you're not smiling, that's a problem.
Yeah. Valvano said it perfect, man.
Yes.
It's laugh, cry, smile, all that stuff every day.
Yep. That's a perfect day or a complete day. If your emotions are moved to tears, laughter, and I think and smiling, I believe.
Yeah.
But yes.
And crying.
Yeah, and crying.
Well, as you said, move to tears. So there you go. Celebrate the weekend with a smile while you're finding Utah on the map, chewing on a macaroon, speaking in full sentences, not listening to anything too loud, and also enjoying a mint julep while watering your flowers and creatively plugging the hole.
And eating kakavi.
And eating kokavi.
Well, you said it could pronounce
it
either
could
way.
be. Yeah, I'm going to go with the kokavi side of this. So when we return, we'll be into June, the June National Days. This has become my favorite segment, I think.
Yeah, you have been pretty much all over it.
I like this. This is fun.
It is.
Did anybody celebrate yesterday with a burger? Did you celebrate? You know anybody? Did you talk to anybody who said, "Yeah, I'm getting a burger or brisket tonight"? It was brisket day.
It was. I didn't. Grayson had a hot dog, which isn't a burger, but it's close.
Well,
sort of.
Yeah, no. It's not.
Hot dogs and hamburgers, they go together.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
The old question.
No, it's
right?
a hot dog.
That's what I've always said. What where did that even come from?
I don't know.
I've never understood that when people say, well, yeah, there's people that argue. I think Bobby Harton might be one of them who argues that hot dogs are sandwiches. Bobby, if you're listening, is that true? I can't remember, but I'm like, it's not a sandwich. It's a hot dog.
Yeah, it's a hot. Yeah, it goes in a bun, but that doesn't make it a sandwich. It's not a sub. But anyway,
moving on. Next.
We've had some fun today. We've taken some wild left turns. We've got Rafael Esparza, MyBookie.ag, almost committed to putting out odds for cornhole. So I
think that would actually do really well.
I think it would as well.
Yeah, I think it'd do really, really well.
Yeah, and if you didn't see the article on Jeff McCarriger, there was a recent one in the Post and Courier about him and his big break in broadcasting. He's been doing it a long time. Good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And, never would have expected that the big break would be cornhole. But my man's on ESPN every weekend calling cornhole. So hopefully that pays off for him.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've convinced Raphael to at least explore the idea of throwing up some odds for cornhole.
I'll probably pull out the cornhole set this weekend. The girls like to pick up the bags, and I've taught them how to walk up and just drop them on the board. On the board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they kind of like try to shove them in there, but they at least drop them on the board, so they're getting there. They get 1 point.
Fun fact: the first cornhole set, and we don't have one anymore. So the only cornhole set I have owned, I stole. Is that a fair word?
That's nice.
It was sitting around a previous office for a long time, and I asked for it nicely many times. Never got it. And then one day decided I'm just going to take it, and I did.
There you go.
And no one ever said anything about it. So it was a Carolina Panthers logoed up cornhole set.
I know a guy that custom makes them for $150 in town, and they're beautiful. That's where I got mine.
Yeah.
I can put you in touch if you need one.
And I don't really need one right now, but
this is some local news. It's not sports news, but I figure we should pass this along. If you've been to the beaches the last couple of weeks, it's been very difficult to get there, especially places like the Isle of Palms and Folly Beach, as folks have crowded the coast of South Carolina. We've been in quarantine for quite some time. I know that. This has been unanimously approved by the Isle of Palms. $10 parking in municipal parking lots Monday through Friday. $15 on Saturday, Sunday, and legal holidays. $2.50 hourly parking on Ocean Boulevard between 10th and 14th Avenue. And if you get a fine out there because you've gone over your time or whatever it is, it's $100 now.
Whew.
On the Isle of Palms.
It won't
careful.
It won't make a difference with the parking lots because those things have been filling up by like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning.
My cousins live across the street on the Isle of Palms, and luckily when we go, we don't have to. We never really go to the beach anyways. We're always on the dock, but if we were to go to the beach, we just park there. We don't have to worry about it. But you see it; these people just line up, and it's getting messy over there. When we return on Monday. We open the show with this. Student athletes will be returning to campus. Really looking forward to this. I'm not, this is a little bit different everywhere, right? So this doesn't mean that Monday you're going to see 100 football players practicing at different institutions throughout the country or anything like that. But you will see student athletes begin to land back on campus in their dorm rooms and stuff like that. So we'll start to dig a little bit. Next week, we'll have a lot of guests around here who can kind of give us some inside information on what that looks like in places like Columbia and Clemson, South Carolina, even here locally at the Citadel if the Dogs have some guys coming back to campus and things like that. But again, this is that step. It is arrived, Darren, in the next couple of days, and really, really looking forward to seeing how this unfolds.
Yeah, we'll talk to people from various different campuses because different schools have different philosophies. They have different phases. Their plans for phase 1, 2, 3, however many phases they have, while similar, are unique to each school or certainly to each conference. So to get a perspective from somebody who is there, who can see it and give us a feel for how they're doing it at South Carolina, how they're doing it at Clemson. If we venture outside of the region and go to maybe the Big Ten or something like that, or the Pac-12, they don't come back yet. That's the 15th where they are being welcomed back. But all of it, just to get a feel for how it's going, how smooth is the process, how safe do the reporters feel, how safe do the athletes feel. I think you're going to start to see a lot of those type of stories next week. Yeah,
and I think they'll feel safe. I think you'll find that a lot of these athletes are going to feel a lot safer going where they're going as to opposed to where they've been. Again, everybody comes from a different background, different area, and things like that. So I'm looking forward to that. Did just get this just a few minutes ago. Nicole Auerbach, she is with The Athletic, senior writer with The Athletic, and she's fantastic in covering college athletics. The Power 5 leagues have sent a 3-page letter to Congress. The Power 5 leagues. The NCAA already did this. Now, the Power 5 has sent their own letter to Congress asking for support on national federal legislation regarding name, image, and likeness and, quote, not wanting to wait for the NCAA's process to conclude before moving forward. So that tells me quickly that the Power 5 leagues have zero faith in the NCAA and what they're trying to accomplish here. For whatever reason, I don't know, but we need to dig into that, and we will, and try to get some answers as to why the Power Five felt the need to send their own letter over the top of the NCAA to Congress, and essentially, it seems to me, try to get Congress to work directly with them.
Or the question, how long until the Power Five says, see ya?
Yeah, Dennis Dodd has a nice article out about that right now on CBS Sports. I would encourage you to read that.
Yeah.
If you haven't done so.
I mean, this seems like a step indicating that it's sooner than later.
Ray Tanner was asked about this in Columbia 2 days ago, and he said it's not on the front burner, but if the front burner is anything less than 2 years, I understand it. 2 to 3 years, you might see it.
Yeah.
All right, Rafael Esparza, we appreciate him joining us from Vegas, and Frankie Mansfield certainly with the Vulture News. Darren, great week as always. Thanks for all your hard work. We appreciate all the listeners. Have a wonderful, beautiful weekend wherever you are, and we're back on Monday, the JB and Goldwater Show. See you then.